Hi guys, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we are taking a look at the minor caged chord system. So before we get started today, welcome to the new studio, or should I say the new room in my studio. For those of you that don't follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I've been building a studio now for about 18 months. I actually rent an old bomb shelter. It's a large bomb shelter, like a Cold War bomb shelter underneath an apartment building right near where we live here in Stockholm. And it's 100 square meters. It was a really big space. And so when it came up for offer, I jumped at the chance. It's got a little bathroom and a kitchen. It's got quite a big storeroom as well for all my flight cases and all my gear. But we had this big room. So a friend of mine who's a fantastic carpenter, my friend Roberto, he built the walls in here that we sectioned off an area. And that's the control room that you've seen in all my other videos with the wooden wall, which was the first room to get done so I could record and film. But I always wanted to utilize this big room. And so we built a frame on the ceiling and got some stage cloth and built the black box for filming. I wanted to have this for a while because I think it's really cool to have the focus a little bit more on guitar and product. That's not to say that I won't be filming in the other room, because I think the other room's really cool. Obviously, it's got all the Van Halen stuff, bits of Star Wars, and the Rack of Doom, of course. So today we're going to take a look at the minor caged chord system. Now, I looked at the major caged chord system recently in a video, and it seemed to be really popular. So I thought it was a good idea to look at the minor system. Now, I use this pretty much exclusively for organizing the neck, and I thought it was a good idea to learn the minor chords, because then we can start looking at chord and scale relationship, and also we can look at building your harmonized major scale. In other words, all of the 7 chords within a key in each of the 5 positions. As I mentioned in that video, I'm a little bit more of a key center guitar player. In other words, I think more about the relationship between the chord that I'm playing over and the parent scale, instead of thinking about Dorian or Lydian, although I'm obviously fully aware of those modes. For instance, if I'm playing a major over a minor chord, if it's the second chord of the major scale and I'm playing the parent major scale over it, then it's Dorian. If it's the 4th chord, then it's Lydian. So that's kind of the way that I look at things. And obviously knowing all of the caged chords in every position, major, minor, diminished, major 7th, etc., is a really powerful skill set to have. And it's a really great way of opening the fingerboard. Now, I would advise that you go and check out that first video, as I get quite in depth about the caged system and explaining it. But for those of you that are new to my videos and are checking out this video for the first time, the caged system is a system that uses the shapes of C, A, G, E, and D as a way of organizing the neck, and it adopts the acronym of CAGED as a way of seeing how the shapes link together. Now, in the last video as well, I taught a system or a way of practicing around key cycles that my old tutor Phil Hilborn taught me, God, must be 30 years ago. And that was just such an invaluable lesson to me. And I've applied that to scales, pentatonic scales, my arpeggios, absolutely everything. So what you end up with is that the neck just kind of feels a whole lot smaller. You don't have areas of the fingerboard that, you draw blank at. Everything links and connects together. So before we get into learning our shapes, what we're going to do is learn the difference between a major and a minor chord. Now, a major chord uses the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the major scale of the same name. So if we're playing a C major chord, that uses the C note, the E note, and the G note, which is the root, the 3rd, and the 5th of the C major scale. And we play those together to form a triad, or we stack full voicing together to form a full chord. Now, to turn that into a minor chord or a minor triad, you simply lower the major 3rd by a semitone to a minor 3rd. So before we get started on the minor shape, let's just refresh our memory on the major shapes. So we have C, A, G, E, and D. So we're going to kick off by turning our 5 major shapes into minor shapes and then turning them into movable shapes. So let's take the chord of C. Now the major third is located on the second fret of the D and the open E. It's the note of E. Now to turn that into a minor chord, we're going to have to flatten those notes. Now you can't flatten that open string, so we're going to avoid the open top E, but we're going to drop the second fret of the D down to the first fret D. Now you are going to have to change the fingering here. The way I play this is my first finger on the first fret D, we have the open G, second finger on the first fret B, and my fourth finger on the third fret of the A string. And there's our C minor. Now make sure you do avoid that top E. It sounds pretty horrendous if you play that. So you're only going to play the middle four strings, so the A string to the B string. So to turn our C minor chord into a movable shape, we're going to move it up a semitone, but we're going to, obviously, when we play it in the open position, we've got an open G. So if we move up, we're going to have to compensate for that shift and move our open G up a semitone as well. So for that, I'm going to use a different fingering. First finger on the first fret of the G, second finger on the second fret of the D, third finger on the second fret B, and my little finger on the fourth fret of the A. It's quite a fiddly chord shape, that one. And obviously the root note is coming from the little finger. So if I play that at the fifth fret, root note's on the fifth fret A, so it's a D. Move that up, seventh fret, E, and F here at the 8th fret, G at the 10th, etc. Okay, so now let's turn our A major into an A minor. This one's pretty straightforward. A major chord, major third is on the second fret B. We're going to drop that down to the first fret B. There's our A minor. Change the fingering of that so our first finger's free. Move the chord shape up a semitone, but we have to compensate those open strings. So we put the bar on. First finger is playing the root note on the first fret of the A string. So that's an A sharp minor or a B flat minor. And we can obviously move that up, C minor, D minor, E minor, F minor, etc. Okay, now on to the G minor. This one's a little bit fiddly. When we play a G major chord, third is located on the second fret of the A and the open B. Now, when I play a G major chord, I don't like having the third too low in the bass. And normally I play my G major chord with just two fingers. I play the third fret at the top and the bottom E, and I mute out the A string. So my third is coming from the open B string. So if we're going to turn this chord into a minor chord, we need to flatten our B note to a B flat. Now, the only way we can do that is to play a new position or a new location of that note, because we can't lower that open B string. So we're going to play that on the third fret of the G string. So the best way to play that is with your third finger barring across the top three. And then I bring my second finger over and I play the third fret of the sixth string, and I just mute out the fifth string. You can, if you want, put your first finger on the first fret of the A, but for me it gets a little bit muddy with the minor third so low in the chord. Now to make that movable, the way that I play it, I simply move that shape up a semitone and then play the first fret of the D. Now that does require quite a stretch. You could do that with your little finger and your third finger. I never managed to get that chord sounding as clean as if I play it that way. So the easiest way for you to do it is to just eliminate the root note on the sixth string and take your root note from the top string, and you can play it with your first finger at the first fret of the D string and your little finger barring across the top three strings. The root note is coming from the top E string. Now there is another voicing for the G minor movable shape, but I'm not too keen on this voicing. It does have its uses. It's quite nice for chord arpeggios and parts, but it's a little bit of everything's in the low end. So for this chord, we're going to play the root note on the fourth fret of the E. We're going to play the minor third on the second fret of the A, and then we're just going to bar our first finger across the G, the D and the G. So we're playing the first fret D and G for the fifth and the octave root. Yeah, it's quite pleasant, as I said, for chord arpeggios, but quite a muddy sounding chord. So just going back to my shape that I play, where I do that little bit of a stretch, the root note's coming from either the bottom E or the top E. So here it is A flat minor, moved from G minor up a semitone. So we go to the fifth fret, it's A minor, B minor, C minor, and so on. So now we're going to turn E major into E minor. We need to locate the third. The third is played with the first finger on the first fret of the G. It's the note of G sharp. And to turn that into a minor third, we simply take that finger away to give us an open G. Now that's a really easy chord for you to move. You simply use your third and fourth fingers on the A and the D, move up a semitone, and then just move those open strings up a semitone. So the root note is now coming from the first fret of the sixth string. So there's an F minor, G minor, A minor, B minor, etc. And our final chord shape, we're going to take the D major chord. The major third is located on the second fret of the top E. So to turn that into minor, we just simply drop that down to the first fret. So we have the note of F as opposed to the F sharp of the D major. Here's the chord, here's our D minor. Now to make that into a movable shape, we just change the fingering, second, third and fourth fingers, keeping our first finger free. Move the shape up a semitone, but now we have to raise the open D up a semitone. So the root note is now coming from the first fret of the D string. So it's an E flat or a D sharp minor. And we can continue to move that to E minor, F minor, G minor, A minor, so on. So now we're going to play one key across the whole neck. We're going to start off in C, and we're going to follow the word caged, the order of the letters of the word. Start off on the C minor. Now the next letter in the word caged is A, and this is really good for you to see how the shapes link. The C minor shape and the A minor shape both have their root notes on the A string, so that's going to be the point at where the chords link together. So where your little finger is on the third fret A, you're going to play that now with your first finger and form the A minor shape of C. So we have C minor and C minor. Now we're going to spell the word, and our next letter is G. So I'm going to take that D string that my third finger is playing in that A minor shape, play that with my first finger and form my G minor shape. Again, if you find that shape a bit too much of a stretch, you can just play top four strings. So following on from the G shape, the next shape in caged is the E shape, and the E and the G shape both share the first and the sixth string for their root note. So where my second finger is playing the root note on the eighth fret of the A, we're now going to play that with our first finger and then put down the fingers to form our third and fourth finger to form an E minor shape. And then we're going to look at our final shape, which is the D minor shape. And for this, our little finger, our fourth finger is playing the 10th fret D. And that is the point that's where the chords link. So that D string is our link or pivot into the D shape. So we play that with our first finger, which is the root note, and then we form the rest of the chord. So following on from the D minor, we're going to play the octave of the C minor. Let's look at how those chord shapes link. And the linking point is the G and the B strings, the 12th fret and the 13th fret. So what we're going to do here is change the fingering. We're going to put our third finger on the 13th fret B and our first finger on the 12th fret G, second finger on the 13th fret of the D, and our little finger, our fourth finger on the 15th fret A. So now let's connect the whole fingerboard together using all of the caged shapes. So start off with a C minor as a C minor shape, C minor as an A minor shape, C minor as a G minor shape, and C minor as an E minor shape, C minor as a D minor shape, and finally C minor as a C minor movable shape. So now let's take a look at our first exercise, and our first practice exercise harks back 30 years to when my old tutor Phil showed me how to practice the major caged chords using cycles of fourths. And there's two ways that I like to practice this. I like to run through each key, ascending and descending one key at a time, and then I like to combine the shapes to focus on specific areas of the neck. So first of all, we're going to play through each of our 12 keys, which will give us a total of 60 minor chords. Put that together with your major shapes, so you have 60 major shapes. That's 120 chords that I've taught you in just 2 lessons. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's kick off. with the key of C, C minor, and we're going to play C minor in 5 fingerboard positions, ascending and descending, starting on the C shape. Here we go. Next key is F, so we're going to play F in all positions, F minor, and because the F minor, the lowest fingerboard position we can play that in is an E shape, we're going to start on the E shape and then continue round CAGED, the word CAGED, so go E to D, C, A, G, and so on. So here we go. Next key in the cycle of fourths is B flat, and so we're going to now start that on an A minor shape. So A shape to G shape to E shape, D shape, C shape, so on. You get the idea. You just start at different points of the word CAGED and just continue round. So B flat minor starting on an A minor shape. Here we go. E flat minor, that's the next key, and we start that lowest fingerboard position using a D minor shape. G flat minor, starting on a G minor shape. D flat minor, starting on a C minor shape. Now it's G flat minor, and for this key we change over to the enharmonic equivalent because all the keys from here are sharp keys. So G flat minor or F sharp minor, starting on an E minor shape. B minor, starting on an A minor shape. E minor, starting on an E minor shape. A minor as an A minor shape. D minor as a D minor shape. And finally, G minor, starting on a G minor shape. So now on for our next exercise where we practice the keys positionally and ascend up through the neck in fourths. Now, it wasn't until after the last lesson that I was playing around with that exercise again, and I got all the way up to the top when I was playing through all my major chords, and I thought, I've just ascended in fourths. Why don't I descend in fifths? And I've never ever thought to do that. So we're going to do that today, which really does make this into the ultimate chord practice exercise. So to start off with, we're going to learn a chord formula, which is the order of the chords as they pass through each key, moving, traversing up the neck. So we're going to start off with a C shape or C minor shape. A C minor with that, then to an E minor shape for F, A minor shape for B flat, a D minor shape for E flat, a G minor shape for A flat. And that's the order of the shapes. C minor shape, E minor shape, A minor shape, D minor shape, and G minor shape. And then we start again. So C minor shape for D flat, E minor shape for F sharp, A minor shape for B minor, D minor shape for E minor, G minor shape for A minor, C minor shape for D minor, so there we've started again, and then an E minor shape for G minor, and then we're back to C minor in the next portion of the fingerboard. So we've gone through all 12 keys in minor chords, starting in a C shape all the way round to finishing off on an A shape. So I'm going to play that for you through one more time so you can practice along. Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to practice the next portion of the neck. We're going to continue around that key cycle, starting on C as a C minor shape. We're still continuing through that chord formula, but obviously we're not starting on the C shape, we're starting on the A shape. Remember, the formula was C minor shape, E minor shape, A minor shape, D minor shape to G minor shape. So if you're starting on an A minor shape, your next shape will be a D minor shape, G minor shape, and so on. You're just working around this formula. So let's start off on C minor as an A minor shape. Here we go. Okay, so there's G minor as a G minor shape. So that portion of the neck, that area, we went from C minor as an A minor shape to C minor as a G minor shape. So let's continue up the neck through that same chord formula, starting on the G minor shape, and then we'll finish off on the E minor shape. Here we go. Okay, so now we're on the E minor shape, and we're going to play from the E minor shape through all 12 keys and finish up on the D minor shape of C. Here we go. Okay, so that was E minor shape to D minor shape. Now we're going to play the final position, which is the D minor shape all the way up to the C minor shape of C, but passing through all 12 keys. So we have a new progression now that we're going to follow, which is going to help us descend in a cycle of fifths. So we're going to start off on a C minor shape of C, G minor shape of G minor, D minor shape of D minor, an A minor shape of A minor, and an E minor shape of E minor. So that's our formula to descend: a C minor shape, G minor shape, a D minor shape, an A minor shape, and an E minor shape. So we're going to continue through from E minor to B minor, F sharp minor, G flat. Then we have a D flat minor, A flat minor, E flat minor, B flat minor, F minor, and then C minor. So that's our cycle of fifths. So let's play that one more time without me speaking over the top. So we're going to start on our C minor shape and descend all the way down through a cycle of fifths and resolve to our D minor shape. Here we go. Okay, for the next position, we're going to play from a D minor shape, descend down through a cycle of fifths and resolve on our E minor shape of C minor. So D minor shape of C minor through 12 keys all the way down to the E minor shape. Here we go. Okay, for the next position, we're going to start on the E minor shape of C minor, descend through a cycle of fifths through all 12 keys and finish up on the G minor shape of C minor. Here we go. Okay, for the next position, we're going to descend again through a cycle of fifths, starting on the G minor shape of C minor and resolving to the A minor shape of C minor. Here we go. One more cycle to go, and we're going to start on an A minor shape of C minor, descend through our cycles of fifths, and resolve back to the open position of the C minor chord where we started. Here we go. So that's a pretty intense chord exercise, ascending through all 12 keys through a cycle of fourths and descending through all 12 keys through a cycle of fifths. Like I said, you can apply the descending version to the original lesson that I did on the major CAGED chords. And of course, you can apply this to anything you like, scales, arpeggios, different chord types. The possibilities are endless. Yeah, so that's it for me. Just to finish off, don't forget to click the link in the description where you can download the free PDFs where I show you all 12 keys in all 5 minor CAGED shapes. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson and stay tuned for more 6-string alliance lessons here on my channel. Take care. Bye for now.